I recently took on the ambitious project of trying to convert some of my front lawn into sunflowers. I wanted sunflowers to surround the perimeter of my property in the front. I thought it'd look really cool looking out and entering the property. So I resorted to using some cardboard that I had lying around. This cardboard came from a bunch of boxes that I'd collected, and it looked just like this. This is an actual piece of it. It has 3 layers of cardboard. So I put that down on the grass, I put a little bit of soil, and then I put my sunflower seeds on top. And I thought this would be a great thing to do because sunflower seeds grow really easily. So I thought first year, kind of harsh conditions, just a tiny layer of soil on top of cardboard with grass underneath, and the sunflowers came up all over the front of my property. But as they started to grow, I noticed something kind of strange. I used the cardboard from all the boxes, but when I ran out, I went and I got some of this contractor paper. It comes on a big long roll. It looks like cardboard, but it's actually a little bit more thin. I got a heavy duty version that I thought could smother the grass better than a really thin one. It's just one layer, it's pretty thin. Right where I stopped using the cardboard and started using the contractor's paper, there is a significant difference in the growth of the sunflowers that I put down. And I'm not totally sure what's going on. At first, I thought maybe it's partially due to there being more Bermuda grass in the area where the thick layer of cardboard from the boxes was, but I'm not entirely sure. I was thinking potentially the boxes I used could have some kind of contaminants. They weren't the most clean. They had some marks on them like these, and they were pretty dirty. But I think in most cases when you're trying to convert grass, it'd be best just to use what you have naturally lying around. If you could put grass clippings down or whatever to smother that area and then plant something on top. But in my case, I had a lot of really tough Bermuda grass, and I knew that would come right up through whatever mulch layer I put down, and I just didn't want to put in the time to get a bunch of wood chips, which could have potentially smothered that out a bit better. It's really weird to me how different it was, and I thought maybe the cardboard was hanging onto too much moisture. I've heard that could be a potential concern, and maybe since this one was a little bit more thick, it was preventing moisture from getting down to the ground underneath. But I looked underneath and the moisture level seemed fine. The grass was dying off just as I wanted it to do. Cardboard I thought was a great option to put down because you put it on the grass and then it smothers out the grass underneath and it slowly breaks down, and then by the time everything on top has a chance to grow, the grass beneath is dead, and those roots from the plants on top will grow down through the cardboard and into the soil. So that was my thinking with the cardboard, but it just didn't really work out that way. I've definitely heard of the potential for forever chemicals and all kinds of other stuff to be in cardboard. So I'll probably stray away from just cardboard from unknown sources and boxes in the future, and maybe resort to contractor paper to try to smother grass out. Still not entirely sure the processing of contractor paper, what's involved, and what could potentially be in it. So I may need to do a little bit more research into that. I do think it's always best to just use what's naturally occurring on your property, but I wanted to do things fast. I wanted to just smother it out quickly without having to collect a bunch of organic material to smother out my grass. In any case, I thought cardboard would be a way better option than weed fabric. I'm really not a fan of weed fabric. I've been pulling it up from my property everywhere. The idea with weed fabric is that you put it down on the ground and it suppresses weeds, but these weeds are growing right on top. This is really just grass and weeds that are growing right on top of the weed fabric. And underneath, you can see a bunch of roots that have grown right through the weed fabric. So this is probably the worst solution in my mind as far as something to smother out an area and let plants grow up through it. And this also has the potential to leach chemicals into the soil. So not only does this just stay there for a long time, leach chemicals, doesn't prevent weeds, but it doesn't break down like cardboard does and get consumed by all the organic microbes that are in your soil. I just wanted to show real quick behind me what you can do without using any cardboard whatsoever. This whole area along the fence, I just put down thick layers of grass clippings after I cut the grass really short right here. Then I planted and I grew stuff on top. And that worked really well without using cardboard, just a thick layer of grass clippings. And I was really confident that I would be able to do this successfully because the grass growing here is not any type of really aggressive type of grass or had weeds in it, like Bermuda grass, which is just, you know, kind of my worst enemy in the garden. The reason this works so well is because it's planted really thick and dense with a bunch of different plants. I have potatoes, sweet peas, radishes, all kinds of flowers, onions, garlic, and this is all the way down this entire bed along my fence line. So this is kind of my ideal situation. You're covering the area with grass clippings, it's smothering out the grass, you're planting stuff on top, and it's really densely planted so that you really don't have to do much weeding at all. I do a little bit of weeding in the early spring, and then in the summer, I really don't have to weed it at all. And then here behind me is even another option. This is just wood chips that I piled on to this whole area. I did it about 6 to 8 inches deep, and it just smothered out the grass. And then I planted stuff on top that's just starting to come in. I really haven't had to worry about too much weeding. The wood chips act as really good moisture retention. I didn't use any cardboard whatsoever. So there are definitely some options to smother out grass, grow gardens on top without using cardboard if you're not really sure of the source. I've used cardboard and contractor paper. I think I'd lean towards using contractor paper if I have to use it in the future, but wherever possible, I'm just gonna try to use either grass clippings or these wood chips to convert areas of my lawn into garden.